Yes, this is Mike Elliot. Mike Elliot, thanks for being here. And we were just chatting prior and we end up laughing and somehow we stay on topic most of the time with stuff that we talk about. I hope there's some value. I hope there's some goodness and some beautiful energy in our conversation. And I know there always is. And you're a soul brother of mine. We get to do a lot of fun things in life together. And one of them is be at the New Human event together twice now. And I had invited you to MC the event back in June 2023. It was powerful. And I was thinking, how can I not have this guy MC again? So you did it again in December with us for our event close to solstice. That was also really powerful. And in 2024, October 4th to 6th, we're doing New Human again. This theme is called regeneration. And so you're going to be back. Thank you for saying yes again to MCing. And there's going to be MC plus because you're going to be delivering some things as well. And we're still co-creating on those pieces. Yeah. And I'm just super pumped and excited. And like, thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being willing to support my crazy ideas with things that I want to do and manifest and even encourage me to continue to do these things. And so, yeah, welcome. I would love it if you shared a little bit about, who you are, what you're doing, because a lot of our New Human peeps know you already, but lots more people are going to know who you are moving forward. And so, yeah, just feel free to share whatever is alive for you right now.
Yeah, God, such an honor to be here with you, Kev. Such an honor to be invited to MC again. It's an easy yes for me to show up in that role. And it's funny that you call it a crazy idea. For me, it's like it's the most sensical idea of these New Human events and anything you've created. So it's like such a joy and pleasure to see, those who tune into human design. Kev's a manifester, and I love how he brings these manifestations into the world for us to all benefit from. This is the gift of the manifestors initiating, big change in the world. And, I get chills just as I touch that, is just feeling how much change has already happened with the first two New Human events and this next one coming, like, chills down to my toes. I can feel it's just the momentum is picking up. The momentum is growing. And so those of you who don't know me or haven't been to the New Human, I'm Mike Elliot. I'm a relationship expert. I'm an intuitive coach. That's my trained background. And I love to support people in their transformation, especially in the relational space. And this is what has me so excited about the New Human event, is the thread and the theme, the lens that I've been looking through at these events is how much of it is from this foundation of relationship. This deep soul desire to build more depth, more resonance, more connection where, people can really be seen in and welcomed in their gifts. And so that's a bit of the work that I offer now because of the benefit of how I've received that from other people supporting me. Soul coaches, spiritual coaches, relationship coaches, business coaches, that's been the thing that's transformed my life in such a big way and has helped me, really connect to the gifts that I'm meant to bring into this world. And so I really love holding the space and the container to use my gifts to help orient people to the gifts that they hold in themselves, making their way through, relational blocks or patterns. That's kind of my specialty, is going back to the early imprints that happened in the first few years of life and bringing in the part that was missing through those stages of development so that those parts can mature. And then life just becomes a lot more easeful from there. And so that's a bit of the work that I do. And I'm stoked to be a part of this because when we look at the first two events that have already happened, the general theme that I get to watch and witness is people connecting with so many different new layers of relationship. One that comes to mind is the relationship to bear medicine. There's meditations that you facilitate and offer in these spaces. And what I've noticed is you offering over some of those meditations, the energy that comes through, the guidance that comes through, getting to watch firsthand, like standing on stage, seeing it happen where people are connecting, relating with a deeper aspect of themselves that they maybe haven't had contact with yet or for a very long time. And then watching that connection happen. And then what comes from there, generally a lot of really big emotion, a lot of, really big release, and then breakthrough. And this is what excites me so much about this next one is I can just see the momentum of it happening more and more and more is building deeper, more meaningful connections and relationships with self, but also with the communal space, like being allies of like what are we all being invited here to be, like, how do we show up as the new human? This energy that is happening, the energy that is coming. How do we participate? How do we, form an allyship so that it happens in a easeful, fun way?
I love all these pieces that you're speaking to. And I think one of the things that I love the most too with these events and other events, because you and I have traveled together to do different events, like finance things and gosh, where were we? Atlanta, I think, a few years ago. And magical experiences like seeing an armadillo on the side of the road and getting pulled over by the cops at the same time. And, going to Tony Robbins events and, men's work together and all kinds of things. And so to me, there's never been anything that can replace an in-person experience that is, really held in an intentional container, because we spend months and months building energy for these things. And I feel like we get to continue to build on the energy of all the things we've done prior. And so there is a huge imprint. There's a huge morphogenic field of transformation, of healing, deep connecting. That's something that I got to see through a bunch of those events is the amount of community connection and, being on stage, leading different processes, and at times seeing probably not really any dry eyes in the whole audience of different things that were being experienced, of the different modalities, the different medicine, of energy, of drums, of First Nations, of meditations, of sound baths, of also us just delivering our words like through our hearts and things that are alive and coming through, and then seeing people hug each other like genuinely and be elated, and breakthroughs and shifts and challenging moments sometimes maybe where you're now facing something that you hadn't come in contact with before, a young part or aspects of the nervous system that were holding on blockages of energy, as we would say in Chinese medicine. And so I'm also curious for you, what does the new human mean to you and maybe like, where do you see us going, or where do you see us in a relational space? Because that's more of your focus on either what's possible or what we can do. And maybe because you've created a bunch of really conscious, amazing relationships in your life. And I would say our brotherhood, our friendship is that way. And we've, adventured a lot together, and we keep learning how to communicate. And so just curious on, what's alive for you around what, the new human energy. Certainly this is what we call the event, for a very intentional reason, because it's meant to feel into how can we step into a new space as humanity to, maybe feel different in relationships.
Yeah, it's such a good question. And the piece that I would love to start is, even just our relationship. I'd say when we first connected, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago now, it was one of the most aligned, resonant connections that I had ever experienced. It was just like this, in our tribe, we call these soul connections, or the soul tribe. And it was just this immediate knowing, like, oh, like we are meant to be in life together. Like, I feel like we've known each other. And I remember it was my first experience of like, I feel like we really, like, I'm going deeper with you in 5 minutes than I have with people I've spent 10, 15, 20 years with. And that's what I feel the new human is about, is it's this attunement of the more subtle energies that are in our field right now. It's like the sensitivity of what is emerging in the energy of humanity, in this globe, in this planet. And how I see it portrayed is just there's there's both sides of it. The contrast is like there's, war and havoc, and there's a lot of pain and struggle. I see this a lot in the work that I do, is there's a lot surfacing. Like the energy I find that's available right now is cracking open the matrix. And it's like, whether you're a part of it or not, it's like, you can't hide in it anymore is the way that I see it. Like you can't numb it out anymore. You can't just dissociate. It's like, it's so prominent and so alive that it's like this invitation of like, are you going to participate in where humanity needs to go to be in connection and connect, like in harmony with actual Pachamama, Gaia, like the planet itself. And this is what I really feel when it comes to the new human, is I feel like everyone who shows up is like an open, vulnerable, willing participant to do the work, to look in those deeper aspects of self, to open up those places of resistance, to build connections that they know deep down they've been needing to have. And this is a strong theme that I've seen in the last two New Human, is, people walking up to me. And there's one man that really stands out in my mind. He was, late 70s, and he was so vibrant. He was so alive. He was all in. And he comes up to me and started sharing, a little blip of his story of arriving there and how grateful he was, in tears, describing how grateful he was that, this new human event that you birthed, like, came across his screen, and then he got to show up and participate, because he's like, these are my people. I've been looking for this. And, that's the part I want to highlight. It gives me chills there. These are my people. These are the people that I have needed in my life to feel the resonance of who I am. And I remember him sharing, like, with tears in his eyes, like, I feel like I'm home. Like, I feel I've been searching. I've tried other communities. I've tried going to certain events. And it's like, but this is everything. I'm all in. Like, when are you guys doing more? And that just, like, I felt emotional just receiving this man. Like, here's this elder showing up with such an open heart. And he had named, like, he was uncomfortable. He had resistance about it. And now that he was there in that space, he's like, this is amazing. Every human in here, what everyone's showing up for, like, yeah, I'm all in. I'm sold. I've drank the Kool-Aid. Like, let's keep doing this. And so that's just a bit of the theme that I see for the new human is, it's following that sensitivity of self in this human experience, and the permission giving of moving towards the relationship that feels the best and is the most helpful and healthy for our evolution.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That's new information for me. I didn't know that story. And this is also one of the cool pieces of leading an event or creating these things. I don't get a chance to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm backstage prepping for, the next layers, or I'm not always out on the floor connecting with everybody. And I like to, and I do what I can around that. And I also need to, kind of stay really clear in what is the leadership or the guidance of energy coming through. And so these are beautiful reflections, and that warms my heart so much. And it also reminds me that there's people of all ages at this event.
Oh, yeah.
And all levels of sort of consciousness in some way. And the picture on the wall, the whales that are there, and it reminds me of a lot of people that come to these events from, what I can feel and see and sense, and people really diving in, is the people that want to swim to a greater depth.
Yeah.
And the whale energy or the whale medicine of, they are really deep swimmers, and they can go really, really deep, and they can come to the surface as well. But I think in my own life over years, and this is something you and I've experienced, and not just between you and I, but also like other friends and other relationships, that they've been really deep and they've been resonant. And you also said something that I notice at events like this too, is that you can actually connect and sometimes go deeper with other people in the field of this energy more than maybe you have with family members, more than you have with other friends or coworkers. And you just sat beside somebody for an hour, and suddenly there's like a deep resonance and heart-to-heart connection that you had no idea you'd experience, but it happens. And then you open and you're able to be seen in a different way. And I have heard this feedback from many people that have been to the events that we're doing, that they feel safe there. They feel really comfortable, even if it's a little bit scary, even if it's a little bit new, but there's this warmth and this connectivity that flows through the room that holds the energy for us, which is also very intentionally built, not to mention the building that we get to work in, the Splat Scene Community Center, Enderby, BC. That First Nations community there is really powerful and potent, and we've wove together some beautiful synergy and co-creative magic, I would say, that has led to massive amounts of healing for everybody in that space when we're in these events together. It is deep, and it's deep pretty quickly, and you can see the looks on people's faces and how they're feeling and sensing and moving through the day. And I generally find that there's something there for everybody. Like there's an aspect of what we're intending is that you will be met where you're at, regardless of where that's at, no matter where you're from, no matter what your story is. There's, I think it's the feeling of acceptance and that welcoming sense. And that's what I like feeling into as a, aspiring new human myself, that what can I address? What can I work on? How can I, create better relationships? How can I create a healthier relationship to myself? And then as I do that within, I get to do that with all the people around me. And yeah, there's a pretty fun vibe that's in that room there, and it's not that we don't get serious at times, but we like to also bring some lightness and some joy to some of the deeper waters, because sometimes at a great depth, you can feel some of that pressure, that heaviness, and that's welcome as well. But we do aim to hold quite a bit to allow things to unfold and maybe get uncovered in people's bodies and nervous systems that they hadn't been able to touch before. And I know you work in groups and you facilitate groups as well, and for me, I love that, because sometimes you can get to a greater depth than what you would individually, because there's an amplification of the energy in the room that suddenly those previous blockages or barriers preventing you from tapping into something more deeply, that all gets dissolved in this really magical, effortless way. And suddenly you find yourself swimming in deep waters with everybody else, that you're not alone in that. You're not, just a solo human. And so there's something really special about that.
Yeah, and there's a cool piece that you're speaking to also is, another piece. It's funny that of course it is, it's, called the new human, but what, as you're sharing just all these connection points, is there's so many different versions of firsts at this event that happens, like when I think of it, the first new human event, that was my first invitation to MC anything, and it was quite a large audience, and so it was like a dream of mine to MC in that way, and it was so a first for me. I remember, Michael, who was there doing a sound bath healing for everyone. It was the largest offering of sound bath healing that he had ever experienced. The being in this part really touches my heart. I mean, just emotion is coming, just touching. This one for me is big, is being in that Splat Scene Center, invited and welcomed in by the Secwepemc people, and participating and co-creating and collaborating in this event, and hearing their reflections when they're standing on stage, and them in tears sharing how us coming together helps them. I can't help but cry witnessing that, because for me, that's like the actual, tangible, palpable reconciliation of humanity. Yeah. My judgment is the amount of justified reason to not feel safe with all of us entering that space, they open up anyways. They welcome us anyways, and they share with us their tradition. And it's like hearing how much that was a first for them. It was, the amount of times, in the last two, that each time they say, it's the first time we've done this. It's the first time, the largest group we've ever done. It's the first time and then it's all these new experiences for everyone. And the one that really stood out is when these beautiful people were standing on stage, and we're realizing that first, they even were vulnerable. And this is what I love about the new human is I notice there's an energy in the space that invokes vulnerability. And what I loved is when they shared on stage, like at first we judged you all. We judged you white people jumping up and down and hugging each other. Like this is crazy. And then there was an awakening moment. And was it Edna or I can't remember who it was, but they were in one of the hallways up to the main floor and they started kind of like catching themselves, like, dancing around a little bit. And we're like, you know what? I think we need a little bit more dancing around in our lives. And then them sharing and expressing of like this, you guys are helping us heal. Like, and this is what it's about for me. Like it's all these firsts. There's so many examples that I could share here. I had in the first one, there was a few of us that were space holders for it. So when, if Kev was doing a guided meditation and there was a lot of tears, through these meditations of what was being touched on. And this is the gift that I get as the MC, Kev's so dialed in and like needing to focus on the event, but I get to go and be my social self and go and talk to all these people. And being one of the space holders, something that really touched me too is holding space for a woman sharing she had never felt safe with the masculine ever until that moment, holding space for her on the table. What was invoked and touched on was really overwhelming for her in the bear ceremony meditation or in the bear meditation. And then, so, as guided, reached out for support. We went into one of the private rooms and this is what it's about. It's about the energetics. It's about the bringing in these deeper layers that are living in our nervous system unconsciously. This is all the stuff that's buried in our subconscious. And the new human event is this opportunity to like bring it into conscious awareness and work with it and to have new perspectives, to have new felt sense of safety, and that's what I feel is the gift and is us all coming together with this intention to become better versions of ourselves, to surrender to the true strength and courage of being a vulnerable human being, instead of all the defense mechanisms and the judgments, dropping all that and just like, I'm just going to expose myself. I'm going to show up for something new and different. And the magic that I get to watch and that we get to watch and that happening, for me, that's everything. It's like, building safety in relationship.
Yeah, and I think this is also part of our collective healing is to create safety together so that we can heal places that were previously unmet or unseen and, held in a very, deep way in the system that couldn't see the light, that couldn't get to the surface to be expressed properly. And for anybody that's wondering what a space holder is, in my view anyway, and part of the intention for the event is that we had specifically cultivated and created staff to be there to hold energy and guidance and safety for everybody doing their deeper work, whether it was meditation or processes or whatever we were doing, in that case, brushing ceremony. And so we had a whole team of people just there to witness and hold the energy that was moving so that it could move in a really clear way, in a really held way. And I think each of these levels is actually, part of the healing of humanity that is often overlooked is like we need each other. Yeah. And we know we need each other. And what I've seen in a very specifically curated event, that there's layers of human beings that have done a lot of work on their nervous systems to be able to hold really good stability and really good nervous system regulation, while others are going through some really deep waters that maybe they feel a little bit unstable in. But the deeper ground underneath them is stable and flowing and soft and loving and compassionate, regardless of who's in the room. And I think this is a key piece I've been seeing in my own life for the last few years, is to move into a place of less judgment, less projection, more compassion, allowing people to have their process, and still holding like a really clear column of energy in our bodies, like physically, but energetically too. And then suddenly we're not as entangled and we're not as weighed down or heavy with, challenges externally and internally. And this is also what affects health. And, being a doctor of Chinese medicine and, being in the clinic for 15 years, health is a key focus, for myself and for everybody around me. And so in these events, that's also another intention is whatever needs to be healed mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, then let that come forward to be shifted and moved and transformed. And I got so many messages, after even the first one. It was actually overwhelming for me of all the things that were being experienced by the people that were there and the shifts and the changes that they experienced, and then stuff that happened in their lives after, and the magic and the synchronicity and the new connections, the new friends, the new businesses, the new opportunities. And that just went on for months and months and months. And I still get messages of people who were at for anybody that was at the first one, sharing more of the story of now here's this thing that's unfolded. And it's like that first activation or that initiation for all of us propagated quite a wave that is still actually moving and in some ways like generating momentum. And then we got to meet again in December and add to that. And I think one of my most memorable moments from the one in December, aside from the bear healing ceremony, which was next level, and I won't get into that here at the moment, it was very powerful for me for sure, is the candlelight ceremony that we did. Oof. The candlelight meditation towards the end of the day. And, we did a fire ceremony, huge energy moving through, and the gift of being able to be on stage, leading and guiding in this place that I felt guided to be, and just trusting and following my heart to, do an event like this and having so much love and support with a lot of the people around me to pull it off. And then seeing everybody really tuned into that space, that magical space in between, while they're holding their candles, the lights were down, and I could feel like the depth of everybody in there, and I could feel the depth of all of us connecting with that like inner flame that we have, and really wanting to bring more energy to that, to enliven people's experiences on the planet, bring their energy to a new level, bring the frequency up, and those things are etched in my heart. They're like etched in my memory of, whoa, like we did that. We came together to do that. All of us in the room were in that kind of slipstream of magical energy together. And then boom, another wave moving through the community, moving through the world and the planet. And I've said this many times because I've heard it many times too, but I feel it's true, is when one heals, we all heal. Mm-hmm. Everything is, entangled in the quantum in beautiful ways, and we get to see and witness each other for like actually the truth of who we are as humans. It sends a wave, way beyond even the center that we're at. And for everybody that's been to the last events and for the one coming up, I can feel that wave lifting me already. And I'm like, whoa, it's getting bigger. It is well beyond us already. And that's exciting. So I'm so grateful that we get to do some more co-creating together and have you on stage again and sharing some things that are going to, I think, be quite life-changing. I know I can't share everything just yet because I'm in my own co-creative mode of the event, but I know I've shared some of these pieces with you, and we're both smiling right now of, okay, we know what's happening. We know what's coming, and it just feels really good. And I have so much gratitude that we get to do these things.
Oh, I'm so grateful that we get to do this. And just to highlight for anyone that doesn't know the background, this is what's so cool about the gifts that Kev's talking about is, I get the luxury of getting to witness the behind the scenes of Kev's gifts. And what's really cool is, even where it's held, how it's held, the ingredients that are there, the participants, the speakers, like this is all what I get to witness of you bringing your gifts to the world. Like, it's not just some chosen location. It's like, Kev driving down the road and like seeing a grizzly bear. And then there's that omen. And then he's driving and then he's like, gets this hit of, as he's driving past this splat scene center for some reason to go in. And then as he walks over, there's like grizzly bear imprints in the concrete that lead up to it. And there's all these things that start to thread together. And then you build relationship, with the people that, care for this building, the caretakers of this building, of this piece of land. And it's like, getting the visions, getting the hits, the hours of meditation and visioning and guiding. And, bringing these pieces all together. How I experience Kev is, he's such a bridge maker to, taking these big visions of how to become more integral humans, to how to be, safer humans, more inspired humans, that, to really, really enjoy the adventure of being alive. Like, thank you for bringing your gifts to birth this to even happen. This is what I really feel like the New Human's all about is, there's so many events that are about system and strategy, and they're about, certain practical pieces, which those are there, that's threaded in this. And, this is a very energetic event. There's so many layers that are woven into this that we almost can't portray with words. It's like, it's a lived experience. It's a felt experience. And those are some of the most amazing. It's the mystical experience of like, I don't know why, but there's some reason I need to be there. And if you're feeling that while you're hearing any of this, like, follow that. It may be one of the first experiences you've ever had of something you don't even know yet. And just one piece that I want to throw in, because he keeps popping up, is, one of the security guards that we had in the first New Human, who, this, as he labels the woo-woo thing, that wasn't really his world. And it's not an experience that he was, maybe some judgments in it and all these things. And then, but being in that experience. And I remember I had the privilege of looking at him eye to eye in one of the practices that was led by one of the speakers, and watching the tears roll, watching the nervous system start shaking and dissolve the protective mechanisms that were unconsciously there, and to open up to something new and different. Like, watching an experience like that, receiving messages from people like that of like whole new trajectory shift, like living a whole new, paradigm after an experience like this. That's what it's all about. This guy was like in the matrix quite a bit, still, conscious human in lots of ways. But then, what he started sharing and expressing after that is, oh my God, I see life completely different. I actually can see like how much I haven't been feeling, and how much I need to feel, and how much I've been in caretaker, people pleaser, and like these breakthroughs that happen in this event. Like, that's everything for me. So it's like such an honor to watch you bring your guests to birth an experience like this, for us to all step on that bridge so we can walk it together.
Oh man, thanks for sharing that. I feel so honored and privileged that I get to follow my heart as a human being, and these are the things that drop in wherever the ideas come from. I'm not sure, but when something drops in like this, then I feel that energy. I need to follow it and express, and I get to do that with lots of amazing human beings, and then we get to discover it together. And I do feel like too, the part of the New Human is just being very human.
Yeah.
And that's also an intention of this event coming up in October. Is it's grounded, it's grassroots level. And yes, we're going to deliver some powerful experiences, but in our humanness, and give ourselves permission to be a little bit messy, to be raw, to be vulnerable, to be real with each other in the most authentic way. And sometimes that's terrifying for some, that, we have all these layers, and I've been there. I still have layers that I'm working on uncovering in my own humanness, but still it doesn't mean we can't move towards being successful in our growth as humans and in the collective healing. And that's part of the fun too. And that's what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited of seeing people come together in maybe a new or different way that they've never even touched on, or at a level that they already feel they're well into their pathway, they're thriving. They may meet or hear or sense or experience something in an event like this that changes their trajectory too, in the most epic way. And I can't wait to announce more about this event and share more. And, some of these things, even when I feel into it for myself, of you and I being at Atlanta, 5 years ago, and having a vision walking down the hallway in the hotel room. And I saw us on stage together, and it was so clear. And I didn't know all the data or information or anything. And I think this is the thing, when visions or dreams drop in, you're like, what's that? Or how's that going to happen? Or like, how is that going to come to be? And you know what? Like, I don't need to know, but I just got to keep following my heart and face the things that I'm scared of, face the the self-doubt or the insecurities or these, value sort of propositions that a lot of us feel at times of what's our worth and how do we quantify that? And it's like, well, regardless, if we can move through hard spaces and challenges together, and you've helped me through so many challenges in life, and we've been able to celebrate so many things in life. But when I go back, it's like that vision was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it happened last year of being on stage together, and it's continuing to happen. And I'm grateful for these visions that I got a little sneak preview back then. And I get these drop-ins either in dreams or sort of waking life too, of these sneak previews of either what I meant to create or the things that are in my pathway as I align myself to my own Dharma more and my own excitement of where my heart wants to pull me. And I know you're doing that too in your life in a big way. And so, yeah, I think we do help bring dreams to the forefront. And I know you and I specifically together, we bring a lot of energy and play and fun, and it moves outward through everything we're doing. And so for anybody that's been too serious for a while,
yeah,
it's not a serious event. It's a deep and intense and profoundly impactful event. That I can tell you. And it'll be fun, and there'll be lightness, and your heart's going to be more open afterwards.
Yeah, the piece that I love there is like just the humanness is welcome, and just when you talk about that first vision, just to be totally candid and real for all of you listening, like when Kev's the one that saw the vision, I saw it with him when he named it. But I was like, in my humanness, terrified. I was like, I hope to hell that doesn't happen. Like my soul wanted to have and knew that experience was coming, but my humanness felt so terrified, inadequate, insecure, terrified. I was like, I can't do that. That's one of my biggest fears. This is the gift of being in right relationship, is when connection is deepened. It's like, this is what's so cool about the new human is you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know what energy they hold, and you don't know what that's going to activate in you that will blow through those projected beliefs, that inner critic who says, I can't, I won't, I'm not good enough, whatever it is. Those all just dissolve when in proximity with the right energy. And this is what's cool about the new human. This is about raising our energy to to be participants in a safe space. I really love that theme of like true healing is safety. The more we can cultivate a safer environment, the healing just happens. Our nervous system knows how to do it. But it's our role and responsibility to create the safe space. And this is, like Kev said, it's like there's seriousness, there's emotion, and it's hilarious. The humanness is all welcome. I remember tripping over the cord of my mic and then just like, yeah, well, that happened, and just like laughing about it, and everyone laughed with me. And then that's just it. It's like we all get the permission to be human and know that no one's going to judge us for it. Like this is a place to actually let more of you come online.
Yeah. Well, and I felt like I got to be me also. I just got to be even more myself, more than I had felt even previously, which sounds kind of funny when you're on stage leading or guiding and facilitating, but it actually helped me feel more of what's inside me, and then being able to bring that forward and meet people where they're at and their energies meeting all of us together in that room. And gosh, we might as well enjoy our time here as much as we can. And why not? Why not try and play full out wherever possible and see what's possible for humanity. And I think maybe we can leave it there. I would love to ask maybe just one last question. Where can people find you? How would you like them to interact with you to find more of your skills and magic and gifting? Because you support people really powerfully. That's part of the reason that I wanted you on stage with us in the first place, is your presence, your energy, and you have one of the biggest hearts that I've ever experienced. And that's been changing my life because of that amount of love and connection that you walk around with day to day. And part of me, I'm like, how do you just walk around with that big energy in your system all the time? It's so potent but so loving. And so, thanks, brother. I just want you to be able to share for people. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. It means a lot. Thank you for that reflection. Such a gift to be in life together. So if you want to find me, follow me, there's a few different ways. So if you're on Instagram, at Mike Elliot 808, You can go to my website, log into my newsletter. It's Mike Elliot, and Elliott is Elliott. So it's mikeelliott.com. You can listen to my partner and I's podcast. It's on all the platforms. It's called Together. It's about conscious parenting and conscious partnership. And then I have another podcast called Metamorphosis, not meta, Menamorphosis. And I usually post the episodes on my Instagram. The Instagram's the kind of the hub to find me.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Your podcasts are fantastic, and it's beautiful to just keep evolving and growing with you and witnessing each other. And, the next levels are well on their way, and I can't wait to share more with everybody. And yeah, let's keep rocking. Anyway, thanks so much for spending time together, Mike. It's always a pleasure. And we'll talk to everybody soon.